Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rollswise Show, the place where we play games and talk about them too. Today, we're going to be continuing on with our actual play series, where Brent and I are playing in Wildsea. We're running through one of the published adventures, and Jeff is going to take on the role of our Firefly, which, if those of you that remember, in case you want a refresher as to how the first episode or the first session went. You can actually find that in the playlist down below. But we're planning on continuing that, hopefully getting through as much as this as we possibly can and just really give the Wildsea setting and its system a little bit of a playthrough. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Jeff, our Firefly, to get us ready to go on the ardent sea of tree things.
All right. Well, way back when we started this, you guys had journeyed on your ship, the Skeleton Key, to the Three Masks. You had docked there, and I believe you delivered a cargo to the local bar, and also had heard rumors of a ship called the One-Armed Scissor that had been missing for a long time that the town seemed very concerned about. You had also heard, I believe, about a strange place out in the trees, the Hanging Manor. I believe there was a mention of the Hanging Manor as potentially a place where the One-Armed Scissor might be, or just, a nearby waypoint. But you guys had restocked with supplies, talked to the town council, I believe. Yeah, the head of the council, Marcus.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, we talked to the head of the council and the navigator, the map maker. The map maker. That's what it was.
Yes, the map maker. So you have some idea of the route that the Scissor took. But as you know, that really the trees are so. What word am I looking for? I want to say verdant for some reason, but I don't think that's quite the right one. After you guys saw through them, to cut your passage, like if you look back in your wake, the trees are almost forming back together again. The paths, they look a little different, right? Because there's material that was cut out and they won't be quite as lush. But if people aren't sailing the same routes over and over again, it's hard to see which direction something has gone. So you guys had talked to your captain, I believe, right? Captain
Correct.
Dent.
Yes.
And we're preparing to ship off. Does that jibe with what you guys remember? Anything else you want to add?
Yes, we were. Well, we had already started to leave. I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think we were casting off when we stopped.
Yep.
Proper cliffhanger type thing to cast off into the sea of trees.
Yes, to go sailing through the trees, through the tops, I guess. So, do you guys want to introduce your characters just quickly? Talk about what you do on the ship, your names, brief description, maybe.
Right, go ahead.
My character is Brom Otso of the Ardent bloodline. My character was part of like a rootless clan of people who sailed the amongst the trees. He's a corsair. Right, earned his sword from his mother, and he has his father's jacket. And one of his drives is to protect the crew of the ship from the enemies that they find in their travels. He's pretty tall, human, dark beard, trimmed beard, and long hair. And I think that's it.
Okay, Mike.
All right. I'm going to be playing Jeremus, the Ironbound. And those of you that don't know, Ironbound are kind of a captured spirit in wreckage, or like a golem type thing would be the easiest way to do it. And so for me, he's an amalgamation of shipwreckage that was around when he had perished at the sea. Apparently, his motivation to cook and serve others food and everything like that brought him together in this new form. And some of the stuff he, of course, got was wreckage. Some of it was animal parts, and so he has a nice deer head, hornless deer head. And so people,
deer skull, right? That's
deer
not
skull.
like a
Yes, it's just a
fleshy.
skull. Yeah. And you can definitely tell that he's a cook because over his titanic frame, he has a nice leather apron, and out of his side, he has easy access to his seasoned metal cleaver. But even though he doesn't need to eat because he's an ironbound, he still does, and he's a connoisseur of foods. So his time on the ship is to make sure that everybody is well fed, regardless of the ingredients that he's able to scavenge up. He can pretty much make food out of anything, and hopefully he can help the actual hero of the story, Brom. I don't know if my guy's very action oriented, but we will see how that plays out in the game as we go on our adventure across the Wildsea. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. So as you pull away from the docks, you hear your saws engage with the treetops, cutting away through.
I believe the nature of our adventure was to go and find lost books in the library and the crew of the ship that had gone before us, right?
Yes, the one-armed scissor.
Correctly?
Yeah. Yep. Did they prioritize what, like, if they were like, find the crew, but the books would be nice, or were they like, go find the books and the crew would be nice? Do we recall that?
They want the crew. It would be the main priority, but the books are a really close second, if that's the right way to say that. Books being such a precious resource and something that the Three Masts is known for, because they do have a library, so they take that very seriously. But the loss of manpower is almost irreplaceable.
Yeah, they're very concerned about sending defenders of the town out on this adventure, because we had somebody try and go with us and we had to talk him out of it.
Remember that.
So you can hear the sounds of insects flying around, the trees scraping on the hull as you cut your way through. Smell of, like fresh cut trees, kind of sappy, kind of green. Fill your nose. Every once in a while you'll catch an really intense chemically smell of Crezerin greenery. That's the poison that kind of corrupts the trees. And you're heading off on your journey. What is the typical thing that you guys do when you first cast off? What is the crew doing, as well as you guys?
Well, everybody has they've set the engines and unmoor the ship and all the actions to get the ship. I assume it's sort of like sailing a real ship. There's a bunch of prep and things we have to do for safety. So as the second mate, I'm yelling directions at people and managing everything going on.
Who do you have on watch at first? Because you guys probably are going to have to talk to Captain Dent a little bit further to plan a course. Probably you guys and the navigator. But you guys had 8 crew, so
anybody on the boat.
Anybody that's not the navigator, the captain, or you two.
We probably have just a deckhand.
Okay.
They do shifts for like watching and keeping a lookout on the crow's nest above the ship.
All right. First watch. I'm just notating that. It's gonna come into play here in a minute.
The first one we'll call what have we got? What is his name, Mike?
His name is Nope, can't say that one. As soon as I said it in my head, I was like, nah, that sounds like it could be misconstrued really easy.
Yeah, then don't do that.
Let's call Nope, can't do that one. I don't know. Apparently my naming connection is here. Let's call him Nathan.
Nathan? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just one of the lower crewmen, since everybody else has got most of the other people have slightly more important jobs. Fair
There's
enough.
probably 3 or 4 that are just
Yeah.
deckhands that they're swabbies. They swab the deck. They do like grunt work around the ship and stuff like that.
And they assist you people that have more important jobs
Rank,
as well.
yes,
They have rank, yes, like the
or
engineer and
our
the
rank,
quartermaster.
like the trash cook we have for some reason.
All
The
right, so
cook made
Captain
the
Dent
cook
calls you guys
made
up
of
to the
ship
wheel.
garbage.
Captain Dent calls you up and asks you whether you should be looking for the ship, the one-armed scissor, or maybe not following the route of the ship, even though you do have a rough map, going to the Hanging Manor, if you can find it.
I think we should look for the ship to try and find as many survivors as possible.
Mhm.
Because my
Okay.
my big thing is protecting people, so is mostly protecting the crew, but I'm kind of extending it to this larger family of the town, which would be also these people that are out on the other ship.
Yep. It's actually interesting. One of my drives is also rescue an abandoned ship. I didn't realize that was that specific. I don't know if that's
That's
because
super
we talked.
specific, but on the nose, sir.
So obviously the cook is
I
he's grilling food and yelling about how we need to survive or save people.
Well, I feel like what this really represents is that because my ship was lost at sea, hearing about another ship pretty much means that I could care less about books. Like if you ask Jeremis, like between the two, he's like, I really don't care. Let's find those people. The longer they're at sea, the easier it is for their souls to be lost. Either either in the fact that their physical bodies are going to be dead, or even something like myself, some wreckage gets pulled down into the whatever that under thicket is. Um, so I'm after the ship apparently
Okay.
with a definitely a lot of enthusiasm.
Now the captain takes your
A cook's enthusiasm.
information under advisement and pauses for a second, and he goes, "No, you're right. It's more important as valuable as those books would be, and as much as we would earn the goodwill of the people. I think you're right. Finding the crew is the most important part at this point. So let's take a look at your map. Let the navigator see it, and we'll set a course that way and see what we can find. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. The course is adjusted a little bit, and you probably tell the guys on watch that they need to look for any paths that were cut recently, right? If they see any that might help.
The paths
With
like roll
the
over
journey,
really fast, right?
they go over really fast,
like insanely,
right? But
like
like
magically fast, like
if you
fiction.
went out and like mowed a swath down your lawn, it would start growing right away. But even in a few days, you could still tell that there was one part of the grass that was shorter than the grass around it.
Okay.
It the hole closes up, is my understanding, pretty quickly, right? And the branches, everything starts knitting together. But there's evidence of passage that may be able to be seen
For a few days, anyways.
for a few days. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The trees. That's why it's a constant fight to keep the cities safe.
Yeah. So we have the our lookout up on the
Yes.
crow. What'd you call him? Nathan.
Nathan.
We have him with a spyglass, kind of watching out during the first shift, watching for those because he's up higher than everybody else. Like a crow nest. What a crow's nest is actually for. So then they do shift. We run pretty tight shifts of that, like people up, and that's their job for right now is staying up there and looking for the trails to try and find where the ship went.
Sure. So we're going to roll for a watch result. Certain things can happen on watch for this
You mean
first
if
little
I'm gonna
bit.
kick Nathan off the ship if he does poorly? Is that what you mean?
No, but I need one of you to roll a d6 for me. If Brent, if you're normally in charge of the watchman, you can roll a d6.
Yeah, I'll roll a d6.
And this first roll will be to determine if the watch is resulting in nature, order, or peace.
1d6.
1d6.
I rolled a 5.
All right, that's a roll for order. 4 or 5 is order. All right, can you roll another d6?
Mike, you roll this one.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead and roll this one.
1 second.
Because order is going to give us an encounter with one of the living creatures along the Wildsea.
Dice roller. 6. 1. Is that a leviathan of some horrible nature?
God damn it, Mike!
No,
Ruining it for all of us.
no. This is the more random part of the table. So as you are progressing, there's a ship coming your way, within hailing distance. As they see you and don't see you flying up some sort of markings of piracy, they move to within hailing distance as you guys slow and they slow. It could be a bug fishing pirate ship, but it's not. It's it's traders like yourselves, heading for the Three Masks, and their captain calls out ahoy. What news have you of the Wildsea? Kind of stuff. And this is your chance to ask them anything you want, or not ask them. Tell them to
What is that
piss
thing?
off and be on their way.
Flag, Navy flag.
Well, I think it would be probably good to, because my drive is to find this ship, and if they're traders that have come in a general direction that we're heading, I would, of course, try to see if they've seen any derelicts in their recent travels. To kind of see if they have at least seen something that matches the description of the one-armed scissor, or if they've even maybe captured or rescued any shipwrecked sailors, or anything like that.
All right, give me one second here.
So we probably have some sort of like semaphore to talk between ships, so we can get close to each other. So we know they're not pirates, and then we get close to each other, and then we can ask them the questions.
Okay, yeah, you do things safely.
I couldn't remember what it was called. That's why I had to look it up and say it, because I was trying to remember what semaphore was.
Semaphore, yeah, the flags, right?
Yeah. Flags or lights or arms or something.
Yeah.
There's probably something we do within visual acuity.
That's yes.
To indicate that we're not going to pillage and.
That's fair. They say the one-armed scissor, she sails out of Three Masks, right? You confirm that, or okay? We did not pass her, but we did see activity in the general direction that you are heading towards, that we have passed and coming from. And as we've been fishing off the sides for food, we have recovered a few books. And, it isn't that we haven't caught books before, but they are rarer than other things to catch as we throw our lines out. And we have gotten a half a dozen or so that we've collected.
Yeah, that's probably spilled cargo.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be able to identify at Three Masks whether or not it's spilled cargo. Is there kind of a trail? Can we follow it? Can they tell us where it was?
Yeah, they give you an idea of the coordinates being somewhat difficult to nail down as the treetops grow, and really the terrain that you're sailing over changes over time. That's why maps are so challenging in this setting. But based on the map that you have and the descriptions that they gave, it sounds like it's the path that you're following.
Okay.
You're not convinced, but you feel like you're on the trail of the scissor, and you get to advance your track.
Cool.
Yeah, you're on a track for the search for the scissor, the one-armed scissor.
You do good by not attacking the people that are giving you information.
It is your game. I'm just here.
We let them get close. We lie in semaphore and let them get close, and then just cannon blast the shit out of their ship.
can you think of anything else, Brent, that we should ask them before? Because right now it sounds like just asking them. Well, I mean, did they?
They
We could
didn't
ask
find
them
any.
about the.
They didn't find any survivors, or they would have.
They haven't found any survivors at this point.
So there's really just the path of books that they found to tell us what direction we need to go.
Okay.
Which we don't really know what direction to go, so that's good information for us.
You've got the general map that the map maker was that Elsbeth, the old spar? Had given
no,
you?
she was the same thing as Mike. She was
Ironbound.
She was the she was the iron. Okay.
Yeah. I am right. Elsbeth was.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry,
I don't remember who she was. But I remember
she was the map. She was the one who provided the map.
She was Old Spar Elizabeth was the cartographer, but she is an ironbound. You are 100% correct.
Oh, okay.
She is the ironbound.
I just didn't remember her name. Yeah, I just didn't remember her name. She was a memorable character, so it's good to remember that.
All right. So, you bid each other farewell after a little bit of small talk about, the trade and the tone at Three Masks. Obviously they wanted some information back.
I kind of warned him the Three Masks is pretty guarded right now, but they'll be interested in the books.
Yes, and they'll be able to get some confirmation, maybe even a reward for recovering some of the cargo. I don't know. That's somebody else's story to tell, not ours. How long are your watches on the ship?
Let's see. I figure there's 4 deckhands, so
6 hours.
Yeah, it's probably about 6 hours a piece.
Well,
and they sit up in the crow's nest.
I think I can take the whatever night watch is or whatever it is, because I have the mortal needs trait, which means even though I could sleep anytime, I apparently don't need to. So I can always provide that last watch. And if I remember correctly from our first time playing, I used those night watches to kind of like grasp onto my memories of my old life and try not to lose them. So it's important time for me, Jeff. Really it is. That's solitude.
No, it can be. Well, as we head into the middle of the night, you want to go ahead and roll me a d6 then, Mike?
Do I want to, or should I? No.
No, you want to. You 100%.
Okay. All right.
Please roll a d6. How's that? To see how your watch passes. Fuck, I'm hoping we get a montage for him and he gets to tell us a story.
I got a 3.
All right, that is a nature result. So Brent, can you roll a d6?
Is that a montage or?
It's an encounter with something born of the wild unknown or a feature of the sea.
Gotta be a montage, not 15d6. That would be a lot of results.
That would be a lot.
I rolled a 6.
Oh. Usually ends of the spectrum are fun. 1s and 6s.
Yes.
We rolled the
got both ends of the range.
Yeah, Mike, you believe that you hear the howl of wolves.
Okay, now my brain is trying to remember, but those were thorn wolves. Was that the name of the
pin wolves?
Pin wolves. That's what it was. The pin wolves.
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut it.
Go. Sure, go ahead. Sorry, describe.
Cut them off whenever you can.
Yeah, that's how you run a game, kids. Once the players start speaking and freely participating, make sure you shut them up as fast as possible. Make sure you shut
them up as fast as possible. Show them who's boss.
Talk right over them. Sorry,
Jesus.
No, make sure to know who's in charge of the game.
I don't want your imagination to run with you. You're definitely hearing pinwolves.
Whoa. You're going way too far.
How dare you participate in this story that I'm weaving? But as you hear it, as you hear the howl, you see an explosion of brightly colored birds flying out of the treetops. I don't know, a couple hundred yards in front of you. and they circle around and head right for your ship and just land on the rails like this is their new home now.
Well, if there was another person who could appreciate the beauty of what they're seeing on watch, I'm sure that would be fine. I'm looking at this like, if they're poisonous, I could probably still cook them. So,
if you want, you can see if you know what they are.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try.
This is part of the storytelling that I probably shouldn't tell you this, that I'm a little weak in, having read some of this, not others.
So I guess what I would say is that being is that I'm actually on watch, and I'm so this is how I'm kind of reacting. I'm kind of in that reverie that happens, when you're trying to just. It's like I'm almost meditating while taking in my surroundings, but as I'm meditating, I see like flashes of my past, just the blurred faces of my family, and I'm always kind of reaching for them. And as I look over at this patch of darkness, I'm grasping, and I hear the wolves that kind of snaps me out of that reverie, and that explosion of light kind of pushes me back. My giant figure kind of like rocking back just a little bit, almost in surprise because I was not expecting something. And to see the birds kind of like flying over the canopy over to me, the ship and everything like that. I look to see if I recognize them. I don't know if that's a roll, but I think I'm a little bit weak on this part right here.
You've been sailing for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that you recognize the birds. While you are looking at them and studying them, you notice that they start singing, and it's actually kind of pleasant.
I think, it's so kind of relaxing, and I'm not sure if I've had such a close experience like this, but I make my way over to the birds.
You've never seen these particular birds land on a ship like this. You don't know what would cause them to do that, but they don't seem to be doing anything other than sitting and singing and occasionally maybe pooping.
As birds are off to do.
How big are they?
They maybe like 2 fists kind of thing.
So they're large, but not necessarily gigantic.
Yeah, they're not super scary.
Razor buzzers that just landed on our deck that are going to start eating people.
They don't secretly have right.
They just start sawing the ship in half from the
You thought the pinwolves were dangerous.
They saw the top of the ship open and start picking out people and out of the lower decks.
No, honestly,
they are now.
Mike, what you know about these birds is that desperate people can eat them. They don't tend to taste very good, but they won't harm you much if you eat them.
Challenge accepted. I basically kind of like open up the barrel like chest that I have, and I take a couple of the birds and I put them inside for storage later. I think of everything as ingredients, Jeff. It's just really how my character operates.
I'm assuming these birds are no longer alive.
Well, it depends on how frail they are, but if I'm able to grab them,
living birds are a delicacy, Jeff.
But I was going to take them living because they don't spoil as quickly that way. And kind of trap them in my
around
case
inside you a little bit, and then start singing again.
That's fine. and if at this point, really, I'm, as I examine the birds, I mostly just admire them, but I try to look through them too to see what had possibly caused them to come out of the woods or out of the treetops over to us.
Some of my specimens are caged birds. If he can capture them, like there are caged birds on the ship, and he can just add the birds to the cages.
They are still alive. The birds are still alive, and
I grab an extra for Brahm. Remembering that he also keeps birds, I put an extra one in.
This time, as you reach for the birds, they start to flutter away. If you want to see if you can capture one, go ahead and roll a d6.
Okay. Well, maybe
They were
you were
trusting the first time.
Birds are always trust the first time you strangle them.
Nope. I'm like, they're just like, oh Jesus, I think that was bad over there, but this is worse.
We're being attacked by garbage.
You do have a couple. You
Oh
don't
God, you rolled
necessarily.
another one.
This is going to be a fantastic night.
Those are our homicidal birds now.
They seem less happy, but they settle a little further away from you and continue singing. And you notice that the moon appears to be particularly full tonight.
Oh, that's good. Does my memory of these birds have any indication like these are some sort of like scout for another creature? Like, come over to this section. Caw, caw, this is where all the food is, or something like that. Like, do I have any recollection of that? I know that there are like symbiotic relationship between like fish, like sharks and lamp, or what are those things called? I forgot what
lamprey fish, the ones that live in their mouth. So
the ones that like clean them
the
constantly.
ones that swim around them, the ones that swim around them and eat the shit off their skin.
Yeah, and I remember there was like an episode of Doctor Who where the advanced scouts found the place or whatever it is. These aren't the Silver Surfer to some Galactus somewhere, are they?
You don't believe so.
It's not Galactus. It's Bob the Ship Eater.
Legally distinct Galactus.
Legally distinct. He's green.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then they're not disturbing anything else. I'm going to keep the birds trapped in there. If they're adventurous, they could try some of the other ingredients that I contain within my chest, but that's up to them.
Okay. Yeah, the other birds sing. The helmsman, who's steering one of the other, I'm assuming crewmen, is kind of bobbing his head to the song. Something nice to kind of break up the evening watch, but the night appears to pass uneventfully.
Okay.
For the rest of the night.
When it's time to start transferring the watch and we start working on our morning duties and everything like that, I'll head into the lower decks to where the galley is and everything. And before I go to the galley, I will go over to Brom and I will, kind of peek open the latch and I will kind of offer one of these birds as if he's interested in one of these singing birds that happened to stop by the ship last night. I wasn't fast enough to get any more, but let's just say breakfast will be served in a little bit.
Yeah. If there's one for me, I just put it in the cage with the others. The other birds and keep them.
You
really
the bird seems grateful to be out of the inside of Jeremy's.
The idea is probably at some point to sell them. Like it's not like I'm keeping them as pets. I have my pet. Do I have pet one? Did I do that monkey thing? I don't think I did.
You can't have pets in this game.
I did not take one. But I did not. Okay. I'm not keeping them as pets. These are specimens that we're keeping to sell or trade. So that's what I keep them for.
Okay. Well, you get to pick the one that stays alive longer, and then the other one will get the equivalent of ceviche, I guess, because we don't use fire in this world. Isn't that the
fire's very dangerous?
They're wooden ships.
Yeah, there's another way that they do stuff with cooking and all that. So, I will be pursuing those other methods. It may not be breakfast this morning. I already have a fermented dish in mind.
Pickling and salting.
All right. The captain sees you commiserating in the hall, and he tells you he wants to check the charts after breakfast. And he looks pointedly at you, Jeremus.
I nod my bulk, in acknowledgement.
Yeah, you get the sense that he's particularly peckish this morning.
I have just the thing.
Okay. All right. You want to tell us how your day starts? Then you want to continue, Jeremus, or should we shift the focus over to
Well,
Brom?
let's shift over to Brom, and I'll think about how the day starts for me.
Okay.
No, it's pretty. Unless anything special happens, I pretty much wake up. We have breakfast, probably a communal breakfast amongst the crew, with a few people running around outside, and then I give them their directions or orders for the day. First watch, who's doing the scut work around the ship, like swabbing the deck and whatever
Sure.
sort of like protection work we have to do to keep. Because aren't things don't things like attack the ships? Like,
Things can attack the ships. You
mhm.
also one of the things you do on the ship is if you see things like spline apples, you'll probably stop to gather those to replenish your holds. You
so
know, if you
so
if
like
you
that's
happen
what
to
it.
see some sort of salvage, you would probably stop for that. Obviously, now you have them trying to make sure that they're staying on the course of, or what you believe to be the course of the one-armed scissor. Um, do your watchmen report verbally, or do they have like a logbook that they write
They
things down
probably
in?
report verbally,
Yeah.
calling out when they see something. I probably log it, and like they call down from the crow's nest, and that's when I log it. If it's
Okay.
something that's important, we of course respond to that, and then uh, I basically just make sure everything's organized as the second mate.
Sure.
Make sure there's directions, people are doing what they're supposed to do, and it's more about managing the crew for me throughout the day.
Okay. Jeramus, does breakfast preparation go fine?
Yeah, I would say
Thing.
so. I assume we have one of those engines that produces heat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't, and I know how dangerous cooking food is. So most of the meals that we have are basically um, kind of cobbled together from a variety of fermented things and starchy foods and stuff like that. But I think mushrooms provide a lot of our. I would assume
Okay.
mushrooms provide a lot of the
You do seem
like
to
the
like your
grain.
mushrooms. I remember the mushroom collecting from the first
Exactly, and
session.
so and I think there's probably ways in which we've gathered. I don't know, either there's got to be some sort of rice analog that I assume that is a food staple that comes from trees. Maybe mushrooms have a rice analog. I don't know. Whatever that is kind of our base starchy
Okay.
thing. And if you can imagine that being kind of our base, it's usually then cobbled together fermented goods. And since it's captain's treat, I treat him to a lion's share of the cooked bird. Um, I didn't name it or anything. I pluck it, I bleed it, all that kind of stuff, and then I cook it on the engine in anticipation of whatever chart mapping that we have to have, and so he can have a,
Yeah.
a much heartier breakfast than the average crew. Second mate, of course, gets a little bit of the bird as well. Um, that would be Brom, and then I what I do is I kind of take that and I take whatever's left and I turn the rest of it into kind of a stock that we can use for kind of a like
Okay.
a miso-esque type soup. I'm sure that people can feel more full from a brothy meal. Um, Thinking that we want to make sure that everyone is fully alert and fed. That pretty much is where my focus is. And then, of course, throughout the day, I'm checking various foods, fermentation, on the lookout for what are they, spline apples, you said?
Yeah.
Um, I'm looking for salvageable foods, stuff that I can point us out because that's really where my specialty lies. I know how to acquire those kind of foods while we're on the move and everything. So that's where my
Okay.
Well,
focus
yeah,
is.
and you're relatively tireless about those things, so you probably do that.
Yeah,
Like
like
the humans and human analogs on the ship, like they have a job that they do that we break up. It's like 6 hours of watch and then 2 hours of something else,
Yeah.
but
I
so they don't go crazy. But
But
he
Jeramus
does,
just mostly
yeah,
works.
Yep.
yeah.
The stock levels on the ship are always where I need them to be. A practiced hand looking out. I you know I have a focus. Like it's unbeatable. I'm always watching for those types of things, and I like it. It's what I do. It's my
Okay.
purpose. So
As you wrap up the meal, Captain Dent, Brom turns to you and asks if there was anything notable that happened last night, and if you still are on the path of the one-armed scissor, to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah, to the best of our knowledge, we're still on the path. There's some remnants of the cut through the trees, and we have seen some like destroyed books, but so we're on the
Okay.
right path.
All right. Well, the captain tells you to keep a tight watch, because if the ship disappeared, we don't know if it was, an accident or a root quake or pirates,
Yeah,
pin pinwolves.
or pinwolves.
You know, so to keep a tight watch out and make sure that the path should be getting easier to follow if you are on the right one. Because you're
Mhm.
getting closer to it. Probably
Yeah,
not really.
I reported things that we've seen to him as well, and let him know that we are keeping a we're running a tight ship and keeping everybody to task.
All right. He's going to go talk to the helmsman, and then, start, making logs and doing captainly things in his cabin, coming out every couple hours to check on things and see how things are going. He runs a
Mhm.
pretty tight ship, Captain Dent does, but he does seem to trust his crew, specifically you, Brom, to keep everything else moving.
I make an elegant taskmaster.
All right. Does anything happen between now, sorry, and say lunch, early afternoon, other than Jeremus providing, some light
I
fare for the crew?
I throw somebody off the ship for being insubordinate. No, I'm just joking. No, I think everybody pretty much knows what they do, and we don't have any like rebellious
Yeah.
factions on the ship.
All right. Well,
Um,
let's see how this watch is going for the day then. Brent, can you roll a d6 for me?
I can.
I'm sorry, Brom. Can you roll a d6 for me?
Middle of the road, roll 3.
A 3. Hey, that's another nature result.
More
Jeremus,
birds.
can you roll a second? Well, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe that is no longer an option. Or maybe they come back looking for their lost
So it's giant razor birds this time.
their lost family, yeah. Jeremus, can you roll a d6?
Mhm. 6. I'm just bouncing back and forth.
All right. You again hear the howls of pinwolves
Hmm.
and see a flight of birds, brightly colored, go up in the sky, circle around, and come back for the boat, landing on the rails. This time their music isn't quite as joyful.
Oh,
This is your
thanks.
first time seeing this, Brom.
Well, I kind of assume the birds are potentially fleeing from something, so I tell our people to make sure they're keeping a watch because it could get dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you okay. Um the watchman can't see anything specifically through the spyglass other than there does seem to be something happening in the treetop. There's things moving that don't appear to be the wind. Uh, but it's over relatively quickly, and you stop hearing the howls of the pinwolves. And after a couple of hours, the birds start to get bored, or they start taking off in ones and twos
Well, I
and
consider
heading
that a
back
good
in the general
sign.
direction that they went.
Hmm. Well, not all of them, Jeff.
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll. You can try to capture some. Roll a
I'm gonna
d6.
get I'm gonna get better at this.
Jeremus, I'm just picturing Jeremus
Nope.
stalking about the ship slowly. What did you
Just-
roll?
I'd roll the 2 this time. I look over as I'm looking from one side of the ship and I see the birds and I'm like, and there's kind of like this, oh, kind of.
You feel to yourself like you got closer to getting a hand on one of the birds. The birds don't seem to agree, but you in your heart feel that was a closer attempt than the second
Must
one
be
last
something
night.
that bird did to me to warn its friends of danger.
Okay.
I will think on this, and it kind of trudge off to another direction to look for staples in the Wildsea.
Sure. The day progresses as you keep following the path. You guys are, this isn't your standard journey because you do have kind of a thing to go, and we head into night. You set a watch, because you've got a watch going all the time. Jeremus, are you going to hang out on the deck again and see if you can find more birds, or are you going to?
Oh, well, like I said, I do hang out on the deck. It's calming for me when I'm fighting with my inner demons to be out there on the Wildsea. So that's where I tend to spend it. And I feel like it's my duty as the night watch to be in a place that can see as much as possible.
Okay.
Do I want more birds? Only if they're going to be available for breakfast, I guess. But
only if they're fresh.
Yeah, only for fresh breakfast. Hopefully the crew appreciates the efforts that I go through to make sure that their bellies are full, even if it's stuff they haven't seen before.
It's your job, so we appreciate it so much as it's what you provide for the ship.
Our encounter is a 6. If that's what you're
6.
asking for, I thought I'd roll a 6 out there just to.
A 6. A 6 is a watch result of peace. So you want to roll a second D6 for me?
Sure. Yeah, how do I roll the second D6? Here we go. Another 6. Wow.
Interesting.
Did I just solve world peace there? Is that how that 2 6s in a row?
All the books fall out of the sky onto the.
Yeah, it's just there magically. Everything is magically delicious now.
The one-armed scissor just falls out of the sky too. Unforeseen problem, but
No, you see something in the treetops off your port bow. As you do you use an eyeglass, or do you have how is your vision?
I would say my vision is probably 20/20. Like not having the regular problems that people have with
sure.
Defective eyes and all that.
So it's good. So do you use the spyglass when you see something like that?
Not typically. I mean, I don't think I have a spyglass. Unless they give me one at
night.
The
other watchmen were using one.
Yeah, the crow's nest has a spyglass.
The crow's nest has one.
If you're ever up in the crow's nest, you probably use it.
I'm not ever up in the crow's nest.
Do you call up to the crew member who's up in the crow's nest?
If there is one, I think unless there's, how many people do we have on watch at a time? 2 at a time, or is it just one?
You've only had one, so you might be the only one.
One person up in the crow's nest to watch, and then they call down to somebody. So that's probably what you're doing at night, unless if you're not up in the crow's nest.
Mm-hmm. So, if there is somebody up in the crow's nest, I pointed out to them. Me and Nathan drew the short. He drew the short straw, I guess, for this watch day.
All right. Nathan takes a look, and in the moon, the moon is kind of bright tonight. Not as bright as it was last night when you had singing birds all over your deck. And says it looks to be something light colored, like sheets, but that doesn't make any sense because they wouldn't last in the treetops with the wind.
Sheets. Are they large, like flag, like very large sheets?
He says they're large. They're not like a piece of paper. They're big, like ship sails or something. Okay. Not that these ships have sails.
About to say, like, interesting. This one ship had sails, and that's why they're on the trees now. I think at this point, because of the unusual nature of it, I'm going to, raise the ship and suggest that and kind of like raise whatever alarm we have, that we have some unusual sighting out there and that the ship
Okay.
needs to get active. I don't know if there's like a general alarm or a call for combat or whatever it is. I'm not going to do the call for combat one. I'm just going to ring the general alarm to kind of man your stations and get out there and explain to the captain the current situation that we've spied, and hopefully his greater experience on the Wildsea will give us a little bit more insight as to what that could be, or if he wants to investigate further.
Okay. Brom, when you hear the bell ring, what do you do?
Well, we get up and I yell for everybody to get to their stations, and then we go out to find out what's the problem. If the disturbance seems to be like of like pinwolves or something like that, I suggest we try and avoid them through speed. Like we try and run it faster. If we think it might be something to have to do with the crash ship and survivors, I will suggest we investigate. If
Okay.
we can tell from here. If we can't tell from here, I will suggest we investigate.
Nathan up in the crow's nest doesn't, through the spyglass, doesn't seem to see any motion.
Hmm.
Like he definitely sees these white things. It almost looks like snow, kind of, not covering the trees, but within the tops of the trees. But
It's
from
not
this
like some-
distance, he can't tell you anything more.
But it looks unnatural. It looks like it shouldn't be there, right?
It looks like it shouldn't be there. It's not part of.
So I will suggest we investigate since we're trying to find people.
Okay.
And it's not like some weird like Crezerin bloom or something like that, and we're just like,
No, it's not. It's not anything that he recognizes.
okay.
It
Just
isn't.
want to make sure that it's like, oh, you found a particularly dense patch of Crezerin. Welcome to.
Yes. Welcome. That's how it draws you in.
Oh, how interesting.
You're like, we never
Okay.
see white appear amongst all the green.
Yeah.
As you start to get closer, you're getting regular reports from Nathan.
Mhm.
And he says it looks like something that the tree tops are like growing. It's become intertwined with whatever the white thing is. But he says it's large. It's covering. Let's just assume you use measurements that we're all familiar with, not something crazy.
It's a fathom.
Well, actually, you might use fathoms because they are still boats and you are
That's
still
right.
above the ground.
Exactly.
Right? But it
But
appears
I
to be
don't actually know how long
like
a
larger
fathom
than the
is.
surface area of the ship. As you keep getting closer, he's like, it's pretty big. Not hundreds of yards or anything, but
So I guess this kind of is giving me the idea now. If my memory serves right, and this is just not to metagame or anything like that, but just knowledge of the sea and everything. It feels like that there were leviathans, if my memory serves. And is this one of those? Is it big enough to be something of that nature?
it doesn't appear to be anything alive. And as you get closer, he reports that it's not all white, that there appears to be lines or symbols or.
Oh,
He swears it almost looks like there's something written on the white stuff, and that it.
We definitely have to investigate it.
Okay. As you get closer, you're
And
getting
if
close
it's
enough.
giant Charlotte and she's written something in her web, we'll pay for it then.
It's who was it in the Hobbit? Was it Sheol in the Hobbit?
Yeah, Shelob.
Shell. Okay, yeah, there we go.
In the Hobbit.
Yeah, no, it's
the
not.
Dimbon cross between Charlotte and Shelob.
It's you start to notice that there's like wooden rolls at the end, but it appears to be canvas that's printed and drawn on. They, to the best of your knowledge, Jeremus, they look like scrolls. But it looks like somebody dumped a shipload of scrolls in the top of the tree, and the tree is
No, just covered
as
in.
they weather, the branches are growing through the scrolls.
That could be quite the find, honestly. There could be, charting information in there. There could be news of other settlements. There could be ancient history.
Okay.
I mean, I personally, from a sailor's perspective, I mean, I would think that there's value to it.
Well, yeah,
I don't have.
we'll try to gather the souls of salvage and read them in case there's clues.
Yeah,
to, like, survivors.
the captain agrees. Captain Dent is
Mhm.
just approving the way the crew is working smoothly in this situation, still protecting the ship. You have gone a little bit off course, but it shouldn't be too hard to get back onto course. But you guys can try to recover what you can recover. With the way that branches are growing through stuff, there may be some damage to the scrolls, but you should be able to get a decent haul out.
Okay.
You want to roll a d6 for me, and we'll
Got it.
see how your recovery goes.
Yeah, don't let me roll. I'm kind of on both
Poorly.
ends.
I
That
was
just
doing
simply
so
means
well.
that
I was doing so well for a little bit.
The scrolls
falls off?
The scrolls are tearing, but you want to tell me how you're trying to get the scrolls? Like, do you have a smaller boat that goes out, or did you pull the skeleton key up next to it? How are you retrieving the scrolls? Pole arms?
Yeah, we have a
men
smaller boat, and then like it's kind of how we collect salvage from the
Okay.
treetops. We have a smaller boat that goes out, and then rods that they kind of pull things back in with. It can be kind of an indelicate process, and it seems like it's going poorly this time.
it could just be that the scrolls themselves have been weathered so much that the attempt that we're making to them is pretty much just destroying whatever fibers are keeping them together, depending on the type of paper it is.
Yeah,
I assume somebody's going to get yelled at because they're doing a bad job.
Nathan!
Nathan, our one named crewman, will catch all of the shit that happens. No, you are collecting them. One of the crewmen, though, as he leans out to get one that's a little bit further, kind of goes off balance and starts to fall.
I'll try and save him. I'll
Okay.
try and grab him. Because I probably went with them on the small boat. If for no other reason than
sort of
supervise what
safety harnesses or anything when you're in the boats, or
there's a whole class that does this, and they don't wear safety harnesses, right? Isn't there the whole? I think there's a whole I think they talk about that somewhere. Someone.
I would think that you would have something.
Life vests for trees.
I was thinking even something as primitive as lines tied around waists, or
right. We probably have some sort of mooring onto the little boats to keep them there. But if they're falling, it might have snapped or something like that. But I'll try and reel them back in by it.
Yeah, you reach out for him and get a hand on him, and he slips over the side. His pole arm is gone, but the line securing him to the smaller craft holds.
Okay, so we try to haul him back up.
Okay, you're able to haul him back up.
I tell him to grab whatever he can as he's hanging over the boat, and so we haul him back up.
He is grabbing some scrolls. the pole arm that he was using, or the hook, or whatever we're going to call it, right? The gaff. It's a gaff hook.
Yeah, they're probably like gaff hooks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. So that
that'll come out of his wages. That'll come out of his wages later.
We appreciate all the work you did, but you did cost us a gaff hook.
You did cost us a gaff hook, which aren't cheap.
He does bring up some scrolls, kind of relatively intact, but they're all hanging in his arms as he's grabbing stuff as you pull them up. But you do pull them in. the rest of whatever, you quickly see that you can't get everything, and the further you go into the pool of scrolls, like the more deteriorated they are. But
Okay.
however long you want to spend is something you want to spend, because you do find remnants of this kind of thing every once in a while, because the trees grow so fast when they come up through older levels of stuff. Sometimes they go right through things, right? And the trees
Yeah, I mean, we're
shoot
going to
up.
collect all we
And
can, basically, until
okay,
the captain thinks we should leave.
all right, you have to make a couple of trips back to the boat to offload. While they're doing that, Jeremus, after they offload the first amount, you've been alive the longest.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the scrolls, and I don't know, is language a thing with you?
It depends on what you consider language. I believe my character, I think Jeremus he has foreign language, but most of his language is in low, sour, and signaling. He does not
Okay.
speak any of the other old hands or anything like that.
Okay. You don't seem to recognize anything on these scrolls.
Hmm.
There doesn't, if there's useful information on the scrolls, it is from a time before you were alive. However, they are still canvas, which you don't have a lot of. Because there's not a lot of ways to grow cotton, as far as I know, in the Wildsea.
He's probably thinking about trying to eat it.
He might be.
What is there any way we can identify what language it is?
You can show it to everybody in the crew, but it just doesn't seem to be anything that anybody has any experience with.
So it's not Old Hand or anything like that?
It's not Old Hand or anything like that.
Okay.
Oh. And
you do get salvage, and it will be something that somebody will buy off of you or Captain Dent or whoever winds up being the one selling it. But it doesn't appear to be getting you any closer to the one-armed scissor.
Okay. And I think the language we're looking for is Hyven. So, Brent, do you speak Hyven?
No. Brahm does not. Brahm speaks Little Old Hand and Chthonic and a lot of Low Sour.
Okay. Because Old Hand is a sign language. And I guess Chthonic is the old human language. I mean, that could be an option.
Yeah.
Signal, I would assume signaling is also some sort of
The signaling is the flags. I only took that so if we ever needed to hoist the proper flags or signal lamps or anything like that, just so I could be like,
semaphore.
Bugger off.
We are not going to rob you as we start shooting them.
Okay.
You have successfully salvaged what you can out of the trees with no loss other than the one gaff hook and a little bit of confusion, because I think there seemed to be an underlying sense that maybe this might be connected to the scissor, but it doesn't seem to be. Unless they were hauling old scrolls from years ago. Like the things were intertwined in the trees enough that it was kind of crazy.
Oh, it's older than them.
It's older than them. Yeah. I think after being out there and investigating it, there's no way that you think that this was part of the one-armed scissor. This is just one of those rare finds that you get on the Wildsea.
Okay.
And get a chance to salvage something.
Okay. That's fine as long as we got something out of it.
You did. Some of these choices are interesting. We'll talk about that when we debrief when we're finally done. Not tonight, but and after a couple more sessions probably. But yeah, I think after the excitement, everybody goes back to bed. Would be my guess, except for the people on watch.
If there's time to do that, I don't know how long the salvage would take, but I'd assume the salvage.
You're probably making breakfast. You probably have breakfast for them by the time they come back. Right.
We probably have a day where we kind of rest after this much work, because this is a pretty big haul for the ship.
All right.
Yep. I'll bust open some of the special, the special pots,
the special provisions.
Special
bring
burger?
out some of the stuff to help with recuperation and rejuvenation. Whatever fermented foods that is, whatever remaining broth, and
I
I'll
bet
of
you got
course whip
pickled
it up here.
mushrooms.
There's probably, um, some sort of kimchi-esque thing. If there's any protein that I can reconstitute, I'll do some of that, and I will sample some of the paper, in secret, so that Brahm doesn't see, just to see if it is edible. Like, is it edible? My taste buds are
Poisonware.
telling me that it's not very nutritious.
I don't think it's super nutritious, but I do think you can eat it because it is on some level plant-based.
I think it would be just like eating it's like eating fiber. I don't think there's any
Yeah.
good taste or texture to it other than the natural seasoning that it got while it was sitting in the trees. So kind of just running it in my palate, I make the executive decision that the crew probably isn't that desperate for this type of food, and then I of course stow it away, hoping that Brahm
Fair.
wasn't secretly watching me. See if there was another food type to add to the repertoire of my kitchen.
All right. During your day of rest while you're keeping watch, can we get a watch roll?
Sure.
Things seem to be going relatively normal. You could roll 2d6 and tell me both of them if you wanted, I guess. We've been rolling them separate, but
5 and a 4.
5 and a 4. 5 is order. And a 4 is as the watchman is sweeping the horizon around you as you're trying to get back onto the path. He calls out that there is a tiny spit, which is a little habitable area.
Mm-hmm.
That appears to have a house that looks like it could hold several people. You head for it.
Yeah, we'll take a smaller boat out to that. Because I want to ask them some questions to see if there's any
Okay.
like they've seen anyone or anybody's there that has, if there's any
Yeah.
survivors that are taking refuge at the house.
As you dock at the spit, things are quiet. No one comes out to greet you. How do you proceed?
We continue to call to the people on the inside. If no one answers, I go to the door and see if it's locked.
The door is not locked. In fact, it seems like there's a door, but it is kind of hanging partially open.
I'm going to, if I assume that, is this something that I typically go with you, Brahm, in terms of on these excursions, or is that something I'd still be at the ship for, just out of curiosity?
I let anybody come that wants to come. You being a player character, I probably take you with me.
I think there's probably stuff to eat here. It's usually why I would come. But seeing that the door is in a sense of disrepair, I would probably insert myself between the fleshy folk on the ship and the door itself, and at least open the door in such a way that I was, if there were any booby traps or anything that sprung out the door, it would come after me first. I don't seem to have I use my body as a shield, let's say.
I don't
Alright.
really let him do that because it's my job to protect him and the rest of the crew.
I was like, I think the guy with the weapon is not gonna.
Yeah, I run the point. I make sure you don't do that.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So the door creaks, mostly from disuse as you open it, and the house smells musty as you step in. There's several cots, enough for 10 or 12 people, but everything worth having in there seems to be gone. There's no fire in the hearth, and You can check the ashes, but by your best just looking at it, it doesn't look like anything is burned in the hearth for a long time.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a once over and see if we can identify any of the people that have been here. And barring that, I just suggest we leave. It doesn't look like there's anything of value here.
Yeah, in this case, you do search quickly, but it looks like anything of value was either taken by the people that used to live here, or was taken by somebody who came after them. But it's been a long time.
Okay. Yeah,
It
so we
it's
just
it
head back
smells
to the ship.
old and empty.
Yeah, so we just head back to the ship.
Okay.
I
Huh?
always have to check for food and other wild growth. So before he rushes back to the ship, if we don't believe it's dangerous, I'm going to check for wild plants,
Okay.
wild animals that tend to be on these types of spits, old food that may have turned into new food through either fungal growth or anything like that.
Sure. No, it's in character, so go ahead.
Yeah. So while he's rushing back to collect everybody
So
in the
you're
ship, I make
scavenging is what you're doing.
I scavenge, yeah, or scavenge, whatever it may be.
Always scavenging.
Mhm.
Oh, there's vegetation you could be harvesting.
Yep. Whatever is appropriate to the time. I have I have the ability to harvest, so
Yeah,
I
you
can
can harvest.
gather
Go ahead
fruit,
and
flowers.
yeah.
So
Is that a separate ability that you have? Like,
I
does
have a
that give you an
skill.
extra dice? Okay.
I have a skill of two. I have 2 dots. I don't know what that means in this case,
Okay.
though. So
So why don't you roll 2d6? You might get a better result on your
sweet.
harvesting of the plant life on the spit.
I got a 3 and a 2 for a 5.
You definitely found some spline apples that look like they'd been on the vine a little too long. But
Okay.
in your haste to collect them, you kind of ruin them. They kind of you indelicately kind of pick them, and they kind of mush in your hands.
I take the mush and put it into a bag and kind of continue to collect. And so I have this kind of sopping bag I'm going to put back in the middle. It's going to smell a little funky, but
that is your choice. That is your choice. It feels like you're making bathtub hooch now, but yes.
I prefer to call it spline applesauce.
But based on your roll, 2 or 3 is 1, 2, or 3 is a disaster. So you've essentially ruined anything that you're collecting.
I do have an aspect called deep in the barrels. It increases impact when cooking with rotten or otherwise tainted ingredients. Meals made with these ingredients won't sicken the crew.
You might
Sorry,
be able
guys.
to save them then. But yes, if you're putting them in a bag, you are allowed to do that. And he seems very happy, Brom. I'll let him describe it, but he
Have we not died?
feels like he is
from
found a
food
treasure
poisoning.
All right. No, you collect it. You get. I would say you get 2 small bags worth of
Perfect.
this nearly rotten crushed fruit.
It could go into making alcohol. I mean, that is true too. I could make alcohol out of it.
You could.
Yeah.
I did want to check with the time. Are we okay, or is this a good place to wrap for the evening?
We can wrap here for the evening.
Okay. I just wanted to check in. I didn't want to.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Go too long. So you guys have made progress. The trail of the one-armed scissors seems to be getting the cut, right? Seems to be deeper. Like it's you feel like you're on the trail still. Like,
We're getting
or you're on
warmer.
the trail of some ship. Yes. Whether or not it's the one-armed scissor, you're not entirely sure. But that'll wrap up the episode for this evening.
Okay.
All right.
Next
You
week
are making progress on the track, though.
Nice.
Good.
So next week I think we'll see if I make hard cider or the beginnings of.
All right.
You're right,
If,
Brent. I don't know how we haven't killed you yet. So
At least we won't get sick because you have an ability that makes it so we don't get sick.
yeah, then
off
that's kind of
questionable
amazing.
deaths. That is amazing.
But we appreciate you sticking with us and watching the episode. If you have any comments on how the play is going or just want to give us some encouragement, leave a comment below.
Mhm.
You can also find us on social media. We are at Rollwise. You can email us, rollwiseguys@gmail.com. Brent,
And as always, roll well, roll wise, and be safe out there, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
see you next week.